waiting for it to show here. Hi, everyone. Let me know if you're on here. My screen is not looking like it's working. So let me know when you're on. Say hello. Sometimes, let's see. Okay, so say hey and let me know if you're here. Oh, I hear myself from my husband's phone. There's Diana. Diana was texting me like 2 seconds ago. Okay, hi, Laura Stahl. Like she didn't know I was going live and I could just chat. So thanks, Diana. Whatever you were asking me or telling me, I'll tell you, I'll respond in an hour. So, um, anyway, there's I know, look at those boots, right, Laura Stahl? Hi, Kathy. How are you? So, I was just cutting really fast some Strathmore Bristol Smooth because you know it's like my go-to mixed media kind of paper. So, we'll have that set. So, how's everybody doing? There's so many things going on, and okay, technical director, the titles didn't change really.
No, they didn't. I don't know site.
Oh my gosh, y'all, we are getting so frustrated. We pay for Restream, a streaming service, and it's not working correctly. So, hi Donna. But now he's fixed the chat, but darn it, it will not fix my titles. It's supposed to be, just so you know, the new title, and like the supplies list is on there. So, you know, all the important stuff is on there, but it didn't change it. It's supposed to be backgrounds, or let's see, backgrounds. Basic to Bougie Part 4, due to a request for the background I did this week on this card. And look, you couldn't even, the picture really didn't do it justice because I took a picture in the evening and the best pictures are during the day with indirect light. And so the harsh lights in my craft room do not do it justice because look, in the pictures, y'all didn't even see this, like the copper in that wood grain. How cool is that? So I had requests that I show this. And since it's part of our series, really, I figured no one would complain by doing one more background. And so I thought we would talk about this background. But we have so many other things to talk about also. And maybe I'll try to talk at the same time that I'm crafting. But you know, it doesn't always work. So Catherine Pooler, new release this week. It is called Lasso Life, if I'm correct. And yes, it has boots. And y'all knew I was going to do pink boots. And so, and they even have butterflies on them. So even better. These reminded me of my Dolly Parton boots. And there's a Yeehaw die. So that was really cute. I created my own background paper with the stamps in the stamp set. And, you know, just solid stamps. So you know me, I had to zhuzh it up a little bit. And I did the hat by stamping it first. And then I Copic colored to give it some dimension and shading with Copic markers. And then on my stamped boots, I just stamped a darker color. And then, you know, I take a lint-free towel and I kind of dab off the edges so they're not harsh. And that adds a little bit of shading to that stamp. Okay, so that's how I did that on here. So we're going to do this background together today. And I hope I still have this background stamp close by. Now, let me say this. This is a background stamp from Catherine Pooler. She no longer has it. After I did it, I saw it was sold out. Shame, 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 because it's such a good stamp. It should always be in stock. But I created a supplies list, and if you pull the supplies list from any of the other basic to Bougie backgrounds, the stamp set I found at scrapbook.com was only $9, and it looked really good. So I put that on the supplies list. So that's one that you can buy at scrapbook.com, and it's even cheaper. So good deal on that one. Then we're going to talk about first the new inks from Catherine Pooler, because you know my favorite ink pad is a Catherine Pooler foam ink pad. And she has 3 new colors she has added. And these, if you know how she organizes her inks, she has the Party Collection, which is the clear, highly saturated, vibrant, bright Party Collection. We normally use Party Collection inks at the craft retreat, Nashville Craft Retreat, but these are part of the spa collection, which is a little bit more earthy. Hi, Kimberly. She's from Mountain, Maryland, and she just ordered the boots today. So, and y'all know, I really appreciate it when you use my affiliate links because I donate every penny to charity. And the last donation we made, Donna says she already ordered the links. Thank you, or the inks. Thank you, Donna, for using my affiliate links. You know, every single penny goes to charity, and the last donation, I always save it up until I have something that I think is important to send donations to. We sent, I think, about $600 to the hurricane victims in the Hurricane Helene victims in North Carolina. But remember, it wasn't just North Carolina that was hit. Eastern Tennessee was hit hard. You know, Western North Carolina. My mom, we have family in the mountains in Virginia, and I think she said it's called Wade County. Hit hard there too. And you know, a lot of these areas are very, very there are a lot of poorer people in these areas, and they've lost everything. So you know, really important to give when you can. And you know, I believe in that. And anytime you click my affiliate links, every single penny goes to charity. I feel like my family's been very blessed, and I know a lot of you have heard this, but maybe we have new people on. We've been through rough times, and now we're in better times. And so we're very, very blessed, and I believe in paying it forward. And so every time you click one of my links, it costs you nothing extra. I get a little tip from the company, and I forward all of that, and lots of times we add to it, and we donate it to charity of some sort. And normally I add it up because I'm not saving the world. And but normally something happens, and I'll know when it's time to take what I've been saving and send it along. And so we donated to the hurricane relief, and probably the next donation I make will still be to those areas, because we need to not forget. And now, heaven forbid, we've got the wildfires in California, and it just seems to keep going. And so, you know, and one thing I do want to say, and I think I said this in one of my other videos, is we need to remember, it seems like, you know, yes, a lot of movie stars and very wealthy people have lost their homes in California. But there are also people that, even though their home is valued at a lot more than maybe ours are out east, they are not rich people, you know, that have also lost their homes. And we can't forget that, you know, there are a lot of people that may not have had good insurance, or maybe, you know, are just hard working class people, and they lost their homes out there too. So it wasn't just movie stars and really rich people. And so please don't forget them either, and just kind of brush that off and think that, you know, it's not important to keep them in mind also. Something happened. Hold on. I lost my chat, and I need to move things around here. So give me just a second. So, you know, not to get on a soapbox or anything, but I just, you know, it's very important to me to pay it forward. And I really appreciate when everybody uses my affiliate links. And so if you're new, that's my little spiel about affiliate links. It doesn't cost you anything, and we pay it forward. Okay, I think I have my chat. Diana says she's ordering them all. Is that the last comment? Because all of a sudden I don't see any. I think maybe everybody clicked off as soon as I started talking about all that. Oh, darn it. I did it again. Every time I move a window, it removes my chat window. Okay, I'm going to fix this one more time, and then I'm not going to click it again. Okay, there. I think I got it. No more clicking. Here we go. Okay, So there's my little spiel. Thank you for using affiliate links. So she's got new inks, and the spa collection is, the colors are a little bit more earthy and a little bit warmer, a little bit muddier. And I don't want to say muddy because it's not like the colors are muddy. They're very pretty, but maybe a hint of earthiness to them that the party line, you know, is a little bit more vibrant and clear. So this is the spa collection. When you go to catherinepooler.com, anytime a new ink comes out, I highly recommend you do a search for the color wheel. You add this to your cart. It's $0 even if you aren't buying anything else. Get the color wheel, check out, and then you will, and it takes a while. You don't get it right away. Like I was waiting and waiting and waiting, and I'm like, come on, I need my color wheel. It takes a little while. But you'll finally get an email with a link. I know, I wish I could just go on and click it and get it, but it doesn't work that way. So you'll get a link then, and then you can download it. And so there's one page for the party line and one page for the spa. So the new inks that she just released this week, Glacier. Now, I have to tell you, you're going to see in a minute, I kind of would move these around personally myself. And once you stamp them, you'll see. It says that Tranquil is the lightest, which it is. And then there's kind of two sections under blue. And Catherine has them organized by saying next is On the Lake, Cove Blue, and then Juniper Mist, you know, my very favorite color. And then over here, right next to those, the color family would go Tranquil, Stone Blue, Glacier, which is the new color, and then Juniper Mist. But I have to tell you, when you stamp them, I think On the Lake, and it should go On the Lake and then Glacier, and you'll see why. I want to show you. So here's Glacier, okay? And I made a little color chart according to the color family that Catherine said this is, which goes Tranquil, Stone Blue, then Glacier, then Juniper Mist. That's what the color wheel says in this color family. Something just fell, and I hear, I don't know if you heard it, but I heard beads go everywhere. Just so you know, that's what a disaster my craft room is. And something lost its teetering balance, and I think beads went everywhere. The good news is it was like this much left in the container because I'm sold out of old gold. Do not go to my Etsy store and try to buy old gold because I don't have it to send to you. I need to mark it as sold out. I need to get more. So, yes, it's with boots. Now, I want to show you, and I might just ink it up and you'll see. I can't even remember which is which, to be honest, because On the Lake's not on here. So I'm going to show you. So we have Tranquil, Stone Blue, Glacier, and Juniper Mist. Look at Glacier. It kind of has maybe a very tiny hint of green in it. And that's what gives it this color. Okay, if you can see it. Now, let me show you. I printed, I like stamped this like 3 or 4 times. I can't tell you how many. I want you to see this. And this is why I kind of think On the Lake is another newer color. Okay, and then we have Juniper Mist. Here's your Stone Blue and your Juniper Mist and Cove Blue and Tranquil. Okay, watch. Here's On the Lake, which is on the, it needs to be inked, which is on the next two side, okay, and color family under blue, right here. There's On the Lake, okay? Now look at Glacier. You ready? It's darker than On the Lake. And it comes out really dark. We have to let it dry for a second. When you go direct ink to paper with a very juicy ink pad, it's going to look very, very dark and almost more like Juniper Mist. But when you see up here, this one and this one to me look very, very similar in color family wise. Okay. Just a tiny weird, maybe hint of green in there that makes the blue look like that. So if you see, the color chart says this color family goes Tranquil, Stone Blue, Glacier, and Juniper Mist. But see how Glacier looks stamped out? And how it looks on here. I think On the Lake goes a little bit better with it than that Stone Blue, my opinion. in eyeballing it. Okay, so just so you know, when you order, if you have not purchased On the Lake before, you need it because it's a beautiful color. And I honestly think it, like if I were ink blending these two colors or this color, I would do a lighter color of On the Lake. And I would do that over the stone blue, my opinion. Okay, so I think these two go together, my opinion. That's not what the color wheel says. Okay, even though they're both in the blue overall family. If I were doing this stamped line again, personally, I would put On the Lake here. Okay, and then even Tranquil is more of the blue, I think, with stone blue, and even Juniper Mist too. Okay, but it will go well together. Don't think that it won't. Okay, so there's that. So Glacier is the new blue color for Spa. And then we've got Succulent, which is a really pretty green color. I love it. So here it is stamped out. We have Matcha. Succulent is the next one in the color family. Then Sage and Spruce. And look how pretty it is. Like really a nice in-between color for Sage. And I love Matcha. But Succulent, I'm loving that one. So there's Succulent, and here it is on the color wheel. Matcha, Succulent, Sage, and Spruce, okay? Works together really well. And then we have another neutral. And you know, I love the grays and the browns because they're neutral. They'll go with anything. They almost don't count as a color when I'm picking like a colors to stamp with. So Cashmere is a really pretty kind of just neutral. Let me see if I've got it stamped somewhere. Oh, well, that's what my cowboy hat is. But of course, the color's a little bit different because I used Copics over top of it to give it some shading. On here, on this card, look how light it is. That's Cashmere. So when you first ink it, put ink down, it's going to look much darker, and then you have a lot of fade back. Okay, so what's Jennifer saying? Can I ask how you rate CP color Pooler inks for blending? I'm wondering about building my stash with these instead of some of the ones I currently have. Jennifer, I'm going to tell you right now, and this is my 100% honest opinion, and I was on the search for years. I bought some, if not all, of almost all the water-based dye inks out there. Okay? All honesty, almost all of them. I at least had 3 to 5, if not a lot of them. And I was on, this happened about maybe 6-7 years ago because I started paper crafting about 11 years ago. And this was even before I was on Catherine Pooler's design team. And in all honesty, I was on Catherine Pooler's design team, but I went on the hunt for my favorite water-based dye ink before I was on Catherine Pooler's design team. And I had already decided that Catherine Pooler inks were my very favorite and had bought them all myself, the entire collection myself, no discount, before I joined Catherine Pooler's design team. And if you know me or you follow me, ink blending is probably one of the things people who know me and follow me for, is because ink blending is like my jam. And my favorite water-based dye inks are Catherine Pooler inks for many, many reasons. And I'm going to go through this quickly because many of you have already heard this spiel. Long story short, she has foam ink pads. I love foam ink pads. However, you have to take care of them. And I'm not even going into all of that today. They cannot be abused the way that a linen or a felt ink pad can be. You have to buy the re-inkers when you buy the ink pads because you need to re-ink them to keep them moist because you do not want them to dry out. They will deteriorate. And because they're foam, they release ink easier than a linen or a felt ink pad, I think, and your brush gets loaded more. And you also do a lot of techniques like I go direct ink to paper. So I need to re-ink these quite often. So I recommend buying the re-inkers when you buy the ink pad. Love the foam ink pad personally. And I love all the techniques. They're a water-based dye ink. You know, anybody who follows me, and if you've been following this backgrounds, you know I've been using most of these. I use these for a lot of my backgrounds. I do love Tim Holtz Distress inks also. But all the things I love about the Tim Holtz Distress inks, I can pretty much do with Catherine Pooler inks because they are highly water reactive. And so all the water dribbling and lifting and smushing and all that I can do with my Catherine Pooler inks. And I love that. And they blend like butter. Like, I love my Catherine Pooler inks for that. So if you all know me, you know I've given the spiel when people have asked about inks before. I will tell you, I have every Catherine Pooler color except one. She came out with one a couple months ago and I didn't buy it yet. So I will be buying that one. It's like blue raspberry or something like that. I don't have it. They are the ink pads I reach for. Oh, and they also stamp beautifully. Like first time stamp, they stamp beautifully and cling to a photopolymer stamp in a way that I found a lot of other companies' inks did not. And so they stamp really well the first time most of the time. So Jennifer, there's my quick spiel. I will tell you, I like that when Catherine comes out with new colors because I will tell you, full disclosure, I have the entire line of Altenew, and they're right here on my desk because I was doing an Altenew project, of the crisp dye inks, which now they have the round ink pad, and I don't even know what they call it now. It's like a new name. But all of these, I believe I have every color that they released in the crisp dye ink pads. They are a linen, I think they're a linen top over a felt base, I believe. And I will tell you, I do like the Altenew's second best to Catherine Pooler inks. But I tell you, my favorite thing about them, the reason that I have all of these is because I love the colors. The choices in colors are like, they go on and on and on and on. So I don't just have like two sets of pink inks. There's like 5 or 6 pink color families. And that's why I like, and I like right now, I have probably 2 or 3 right here in front of me because I was using these this week. So what I love best about, hi Stacy Junk, about the Altenew is the color selection and variety. So I hope that Catherine keeps coming out with new colors because I ink blend so much, I will normally pick all 4 of a shade in a color family, and from the lightest to the darkest, and ink blend with those. And so I like that Altenew has such a variety in colors and very, very different ones. You know, for instance, there's this blue set that I love because I love the blue colors in these. And I love their like minty colors and aqua colors. And so I like the variety in the colors of Altenew. And they stamp pretty well. And I can do some water reactive techniques with them. But Catherine Pooler is by far my favorite ink. I always say it. That's my opinion. And I have tried almost all the ones out there. And I will tell you recently, like 6-7 months ago, I bought a lot from another company that I thought I was going to like them and really hoped I would like them. And when I started stamping them in my small group of friends, I said, these don't stamp as well as I had hoped and expected that they would. And so, you know, I highly encourage you to buy 1 or 2 of different ones to see what you like, because just because I like the Catherine Pooler doesn't mean you're going to, you know, but that's my opinion and my honest feedback. I do also have the VersaFine Clair because they are a pigment ink and they're water resistant, and there are a lot of other things that I use those for. I use those a lot when I'm doing a Lavinia Stamps project, and you guys have seen me because they give such a beautiful, nice stamped image. And then you can do your water techniques over top of the pigment inks, and you know, it's not going to smear or run. It might fade just a tiny bit. But there's, you know, pigment inks are a whole other ball game. And I do need to do a beginner series for card makers with all the different products. And by the way, let me put my face on here for a second. I know I'm just yammering on. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm going to add something to our lives. And so you have to remind me each week. I think we're going to add a little tiny segment. Do you remember Tim the Tool Man Taylor? It like occurred to me today. I was washing my thousands of blending brushes and I thought, we need to do tool time, because didn't he always show like a tool? Yeah, I know I can tell you. Oh, Diana, we were worried about that. I just told Rich that the weather was perfect for tornadoes and I was a little worried. And he said, no, it looks like we're okay here. So Diana, click off and go to Matt's basement. Her son's in the basement. So be safe, please. So I think we're going to do tool time every single time I'm live. Let's take 5 minutes and I'll give a quick review about one of our tools and, you know, some maybe little tips, and we'll move on. And so you'll have to stay tuned every week when I'm live for tool time. So you know what? I'm not going to do the tool time I had planned on. We just covered inks. There's your tool time. Okay. Let's get started on this. So bear with me. I know we said that this week we would talk about how to use our backgrounds and create some cards, but because of the request for this card background, we're going to do one more because it is pretty cool. And when I change the titles, by the way, I have a link for another video that I did that will take this technique and kind of, you can take it to another level, kind of mixed media. So let's see if Ricardo's on here, if he can go and delete that comment that we have someone in here who wants to ruin our good time. It's not cool. And we need to go and delete that. So ignore that, do not respond, and we'll delete it as soon as possible. Here we go. We've created all these cool backgrounds. Here's a basic one that wasn't even so, we ink blended this one with Catherine Pooler inks. We created this with Catherine Pooler inks, right? We did this with Tim Holtz Distress Spray Stains and some shimmer spritz, and we did texture paste on that. Remember that one? We did this one last week with some, it needs a little bit more zhuzhing, but we just said this would be covered up. I wasn't happy with this completely, but look at that background. Spray stains and heat embossing powder, right? Tim Holtz Distress Glazes last week with an ink spray stained background. How cool was that one with a stain? There's another one, Ricardo. I think that one's just copying from, so someone thinks they're funny on here. So we'll just delete them all. This one is a crackle paste with the shimmer spritz and spray stains. And then some others that we did. We did this one, I think, with crayons. And then this one, we loved this stencil from the Crafter's Workshop. And I think we used oxides and spray stains for that one. So let's do this one. I'm going to use my Bristol Strathmore Smooth paper. You know, it's my favorite mixed media paper. Can take a lot of water abuse. I say it every week. I will say a cheap like Canson watercolor paper would be good for this too. Okay. So let me take a drink of water and we're going to get busy. And I'm going to use my Tim Holtz glass media mat. It's under this whole big pile that I have going on here because like I've been so busy and my craft room is a disaster. Thanks, Laura. So let's do this. Yes. Can you go on? There's someone who thinks they're cute on comments. There's 2 that need to be deleted. So, and then this Tarot Destroyer and needs to be blocked and deleted. And then there's another one who, let me see, who thought they were funny. Susie Q. Berlinski. Can you block them, please? Yes, on YouTube. I'm sure they'll come back and think they're funny too. Okay, but here we go. Mixed media paper. Thanks, Kathy. And Jennifer, no problem. I go off the rails and normally I don't need any help anyway. So let's do this background together. Are you ready? And I got to try to remember how I did it. So I believe, and Jennifer, you're going to see some of the properties for Catherine Pooler right now, because we're going to do ink smushing. This is what I did for this background. I used cashmere. I used macchiato because I love the macchiato. If you're ordering browns and you don't have macchiato, you need macchiato. And I used terracotta for this one. I do remember that. Let me find macchiato. It's got to be somewhere. There it is. I use macchiato all the time. So if I'm telling you right now, if you're going to order one Catherine Pooler brown ink, order this one, because it is by far the most, I can use it for everything. And I pull it out almost for a lot of projects. Okay, so we're going to use macchiato, cashmere, and terracotta to create this background. Okay, so I'm just going to start with, you need a water spritzing bottle, and we're going to have our paper towels ready and our heat gun. Okay, so, and I'm going to layer. Remember, wet on dry layers, wet on wet blends. So I'm going to layer. So I'm starting with cashmere and I'm just smushing it and giving it a little spritz so it moves. And this is Tim Holtz kind of method all the way. Run my finger through it so it kind of beads up a little bit. I'm getting a lint-free towel. You see that? Just thrown in the back. Oh, if you guys could see my craft room, it's insane. Okay, we've got a lot more. Stacy says she's taking notes. Stacy requested this, so I said, okay, just because I love you. Okay, so take your card, and I'm kind of bending it just a little bit, because remember, white space is good. This one's not going to end up that way, but we don't want the color to go everywhere. So I'm just kind of dabbing, okay? And tapping and moving, and then we can spritz it a little bit if we want to get it moving some more. Okay, there we go. It's very, very light, and then we're going to dry it, remember? Okay, I know, Laura, isn't ink smushing, it's like, in the end, you feel like an artist and you're like, I could have done that in kindergarten, right? So we're drying it a little bit, not all the way. Can you see how pretty cashmere is? It's a very soft, kind of buff kind of color. Sue Crafter says, done and done. Thank you. Sue Crafter, if you don't know, is my husband, Ricardo. Okay. There we go. Doesn't have to be fully dry. I'm going to smush a little bit more. And don't forget the method I showed you last week. If you want to use a block to be a little bit more controlled, but for this, you don't need that. Don't even bother with that. Okay, we're moving it and doing a little more smush. Oh, I had blue on there. That's okay. Well, that will not hurt anything. I actually kind of like that blue in this. So the glacier or on the lake combined with cashmere and some of the browns would be a really pretty background. I obviously ink blended on this glass mat and didn't clean it. If you follow me, story of my life. I normally don't clean my stamps. Yeah, and it comes back to bite me sometimes. I'll pick up a paintbrush and not make sure it's clean and dip it in water, and then it's got blue in it when I'm trying to do pink, you know, something like that. Okay, dry it. Now let's clean this off a little bit. And now we're going to go in with macchiato. Now, normally I would have left that cashmere on there and then gone in with macchiato, but since it had the blue, and you can see macchiato is a lot darker. Water. Run your finger through it. Okay. Now, your glass mat doesn't bead up the way, if you really want better beading, use like a silicone mat. it will definitely bead up more because, you know, it resists the water. But there's something about glass that doesn't just do it automatically. You have to, you know, move it around, and as it starts to dry up, you'll see more kind of beading. See how that goes as we move our paper through it and it gets drier? Now, move it around. And sometimes, you know, it helps to wet your paper first. That's what we're seeing on here too. Dab off these little edges. Let's dry it a little bit. Move that water around. And you know, this is a process, and it looks much uglier before it looks better, right? Yes, Jennifer. And there's a lighter color. There's gingerbread, and I think you'll like this terracotta. And there's gingerbread. And what's that? Someone help me out. There's another brownie. Oh, spiced. Spiced is another good one. And then I think the spiced would be, and if you do junk journals, I think the grays from Catherine Pooler are really nice also. So you'll want to take a look at those. And there's some of the yellows would probably look pretty to age and distress things too. I don't do junk journals, but I love to do the mixed media, and that's what comes to mind. I do love the mixed media and Tim Holtz kind of style. So those are the colors that would come to mind that I would use. So we're just layering and layering and layering and drying in between, so that we get all of those pretty layers, right? And all we're doing, we could have used the spray stains, but of course, since I did the Catherine Pooler card, and you know, I want you to see that the inks will do a lot of water-based techniques, very similar to distress. You know, we don't have to have every single product out there. And you know, I believe in shopping your stash and using what you have. And so, you know, if you don't want to buy all the spray stains, now I love the spray stains because they're very saturated ink color, more so than what you get lots of times when you ink smush out of an ink pad. But if you're only going to invest in one thing, you know, invest in a really good water-based dye ink pad. Okay. So keep going and keep going. And you know, I love it as it starts to dry up and then we get that speckly effect. We're going to use all of that. Okay. And now over here, because I don't want to contaminate the brown in my terracotta, I'm going to smush this. Now, when we ink smush this, it's going to look very red, very red. Terracotta has a lot more red in it than you would think. And I believe that's because it's a red orange on the color wheel, and it is in the spa collection. So it is more of a red than anything else, but I'm going to water it down a lot, run my finger through it. And we don't need it everywhere. Don't freak out when I flip this over. Okay. See, it's very red, but it adds to the overall effect of like real wood. Okay. And we don't need a ton of it. And I'm going to dilute it. We're going to move it around. There. And back over into the brown. Okay. And let's get this off the edges again. Dry it. You see what I mean? This Strathmore Bristol smooth paper, and by the way, this is on my supplies list also, Strathmore Bristol smooth. Don't forget to go back and watch my other background videos if you are new and this is the first time you're watching. Please go back. This is part 4 of the basic to bougie backgrounds, and there's a lot in there, and so And don't forget to subscribe, and please, please, please give them a like. And don't forget to click notifications so that you're notified every time I have a new video or I go live. I go live every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. You know, sometimes there's stuff going on because I still have a kid, you know, a son in high school. So we have a lot going on. But please, 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 I'm trying to get my watch time back up. And because I kind of neglected my YouTube channel for so long. But I would appreciate it. All the watch time, even if you put it on in the background and turn off the sound because you don't want to hear me yammer on. Now, that's pretty dry. So now let's go in and remember, I'm going to do half kind of squeezes because we want some bigger water droplets and I want some speckles going on here. So I let it sit for a second. Sometimes I'll hit it with a heat gun and it tends to dry it and make the water pool up a little bit more before I run my paper towels over it. Okay, dry it again, and then we're going to do it again. This is not for everybody, I get that. Okay, some people don't like to get their fingers inky. Some people don't like the look. I love it. I think it's fun. I don't have to think a lot about this, and doing these backgrounds is just, it's kind of like art therapy for me. So I get that these are not for everybody, and you know, they aren't going to watch these videos, and that's okay. You know, there's something for everybody, right? And I do a lot of different things, and that's it. There's just something for everybody. So if you do enjoy it, go back and watch my other ones. And of course, you know, I learned from Tim Holtz on all this stuff. I don't know about you, but years ago when I first started paper crafting, I did pay for and watch all of Tim's creative chemistry. If they're still there and you've never done it, I highly, highly recommend going back and doing the creative chemistry classes, because even if you've been crafting for a while, you learn so much from Tim. You know, he's the master, and those are true classes and not like a normal like demo that he's might be doing. And I learned a lot from those classes. Highly recommend it. Okay. So I'm going to get this pretty dry. And this, I know, looks nothing like this. We're getting there. It is a process. Okay. Okay, Diana's in her basement. Were the tornado alarms going off, Diana? Do you have the dogs down there with you? Here's the trick. Uh-oh. Guess what I did? I went and washed almost all of my brushes today. So there, and even Rich said, I guess you're not going to go live because you don't have any brushes. I said, I still have brushes. Hold on. I didn't wash them all. So let me grab some that I've got, and we're going to use these because, you know, I have a lot. So my other ones are drying, and now we're going to pull these inks, same ones, and I need to wipe them off because, of course, overspray and all that. So pull out these colors again, and here's the trick. A lot of people think this is it, and this is how I get the backgrounds. If you've been watching, you need to ink blend to add in and like layer and layer and layer. Oh, Diana says she has a note saying take shelter. Okay, stay safe, Diana. Let me see if I have another brush that I can use that doesn't have a lot of color on it, that I'm not going to cross-contaminate my cashmere. Let me use this one and wipe it off a lot. Okay, and this one's a little bit larger than I would normally use for something like this, but, you know, it's all I've got. So watch how this works. I'm going to ink in certain places. Just to kind of fill in. And this is cashmere, the new cashmere, where we've got all this white space. because, you know, we don't want our wood to have white space unless we were going for like a bleached effect. So I'm filling in the lighter areas with more cashmere. Just, you know, no rhyme, no reason. Just adding ink. And this is a very light ink, so, you know, you're only going to get so much from it. So don't break your wrist trying to add ink to it. So there we go. And now let's go in with some macchiato. And this is going to be much darker. So be careful. And I'm going to take it into the middle just a little bit. See that? See how that helped a lot? Don't do it everywhere. We're not taking it everywhere. And I am going into the middle a little bit. And we're building up the layers. This is where, you know, the backgrounds come into play, right? Keep building. Okay. Macchiato is the main color I'm using. And I could use another brown, but, you know, what's the point? Because it's all going into the wood grain background. Now, let's add just a little bit. Oh, Laura, I know, tornadoes. There was a tornado that came through the town that we've moved to here, right? The springtime, we moved in December, and look how pretty this red, this terracotta is as we blend. It's blending into the brown, and it's really just adding kind of an interesting hue to it, but not giving it too much red. And that's all I want to do. And let's go back in with more macchiato. It kind of looks like old leather. Doesn't it kind of look like old leather? Isn't it really cool? Very pretty. But now I want to go back in and add a little bit more brown. And if I weren't being lazy, which I don't want to be, let's pull in another brown because I think it needs a little bit more dimension. Let's do some s'mores, which is a very dark brown. You see on the lids, like the comparison of macchiato and s'mores. We're going to add a little bit more dimension to this. Okay, much darker. So be even, you know, gentle with it until you see what it's going to do. And kind of take some to the middle. Look at that. Now that's kind of cool. So I'm glad we pulled that. And it doesn't have to be nice and even. There we go. See that? So here we go. We're going to leave it like that. Maybe add in some just over here to darken these lighter areas just a little bit. Okay. Now we need some more, we need to distress it a little bit more. Okay. So half squeezes, and you're going to see a lot. This is where Catherine Pooler's inks, like I said, are highly water reactive. Now that we have a lot of ink on there that we were ink blending, and Jennifer, there you go. You see how beautifully the ink blended. We ink smushed, we blended. Now watch. Look how this lifts. Very water reactive, and I love that. So I'm drying it just a little bit. Now I'm lifting again. Okay. It is a process for sure to do these backgrounds. It is not for everybody, right? I get that. A little bit more spritzing. But I will sit down and do a whole bunch at one time. And then I have them. And maybe I pull it, maybe, you know, I pull one out later. Maybe I don't need a specific card at that time. Maybe I just needed something to do to kind of like, this is my meditation, by all means. So one more step now after this, I'm going to ink blend it a little bit more to smooth out these kind of speckles. The splotchiness. We want it there, but we want just the hint of it. Okay. So when I'm finished, we really want to dry this well. Once I have more ink on it, I know, aren't they? I'm telling you, Jennifer, you people who have never used the Catherine Pooler inks have no idea. And once again, not every water-based dye ink is created equally. Not every water-based dye ink, which is what, when you ask me about inks from other companies, most of them are water-based dye inks. Some of them are hybrids. But just because it's a water-based dye ink does not mean that it's going to react the same as this ink does. Just like Tim's Distress line, nothing reacts like that because that's what he created it for. But it's also not my favorite for stamping because that's not what it was created for. Tim created it for the effect he gets when he stamps. And I love it too for a mixed media card, Okay, so there's that. Now we're going to go back in, patience, like I said, and we're going to do a little bit more ink blending just to soften this splotchiness. Okay. Can you see how it's softening it? And I'm not adding any more terracotta. It has enough red in the background already. I don't want any more. And I never added more cashmere in because the white spaces from the original cashmere was enough. Now, look how pretty this is. It really does look like old leather. Okay. Isn't that pretty? Really, I love that personally. And I think there's a little bit more splotchiness on here than even my original background. And a little bit more red, I think. But I'll show you. Now, I have to tell you, one thing that I did on this one that in the end, I don't even think we can see it. And so I'm not even going to do it for this one because you really cannot even see it on here, is I did do some subtle background stamping with a sentiment stamp like we did like a couple weeks ago. But in the end, you couldn't even see it. So I'm going to skip that step. Thank you. I know. Oh, I love blues and grays too. Okay, so I need to dry this really well. As you know, also, Catherine Pooler inks stay wet just a little bit longer. They're very juicy. And so you really need to take the time to dry them before we go to the next step. Okay, so make sure you dry this really well. Not only did we put a lot of water in this cardstock, we have a lot of ink on it, which keeps it wet. So I'm drying the back and I'm drying the front. Okay. Now, let's see where, oh, I think the background stamp it is several Misties. Okay. I do. I love the Misties as a stamp positioning tool, and I have several. I have the largest one, I have the mini, and then I have like 2 or 3 of the original size. Okay, so I took one of my older Misties and I took the foam pad out of it. They normally have a foam pad like this. This is from a mini one. I just was reading what Diana wrote. So normally they have a foam pad, which makes them perfect for stamping, right? I removed this foam pad from this older Misty, and I only use this one now with the red rubber cling stamps, especially for background stamps. So this is the background stamp that Catherine Pooler, it's retired, it's gone, it's no longer in the store, and that's why I linked to a different one at scrapbook.com. And so it was still in there. So here's what we're doing. And I have a sticky pad in here. I am going to put this in here and stick it down. Okay. My sticky pad is not as sticky as it used to be, so it's not going to want to stick as much. but get it to stick down because you don't want it to move. Okay. Now, here's what we're doing. I'm getting out my, if I can find it, hold on. I need my Versamark ink pad for embossing and my anti-static tool and, hold on one second. Okay, and my anti-static tool, but first I'm going to ink up my background stamp with macchiato, not s'mores. We're going to first try macchiato and see if we like it. Okay, so, and we may not be able to see it. It may not be dark enough, but this is why you need a stamp positioning tool, because we're going to actually stamp this background stamp a couple times. Let's hope we can see it, because this background is darker than my original one. Okay, so Ricardo, thank you. So ink this, and remember to give it a second to transfer. Your ink needs time to soak into the fibers of the paper, especially because we have done so much on this one. So there we go. Now, here's the other thing. I'm going to do it again. Can you see that? But I haven't pushed so hard that it's gotten to every little single space because I want it to look kind of distressed. See how there's still ink on my stamp? Remember we did that with other ones? And when we're doing kind of a vintage distressed background, we don't want it to ink perfectly, right? So I'm going to ink this again because I want to be a little bit darker. But I don't want to do s'mores, which is a darker brown, because we don't need it to overpower everything. So now I'm just going to do it in areas with my fingers. Okay. So there we go. Now, I don't have to dry this all the way. I'm not worried about that, but I do need to clean, or yes, I do. I take it back because I didn't use my anti-static tool before I stamped. Now, this is where I'm going to do something that I'm going to tell you not to do it. Okay. I know better, but I don't want to take this out because it won't be in the same place and I'll mess it up. I should have used my anti-static tool first. Amateur hour, right? So don't heat on your misty, but I'm going to, okay? So do as I say, not as I do. Here I go. And if you don't like it, you know, say la 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 and turn away and don't watch me. But don't do it, okay? But I'm going to take the heat gun away here and there, okay? Because I don't want to overheat this misty or my sticky pad, okay? And then go back again. But I do not want to lift this up because I'll never get it in the right spot again. And it's wanting to come up, so I'm going to hold it a little bit. Okay. Dry that ink a little bit. Okay. Because once again, the Catherine Fuller ink stays wet longer. Take it away. Okay. 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 Good enough. Now, I'm going to take my anti-static tool. So when you do it, do this first, okay? Because I do not want embossing powder everywhere. Okay? Okay. Now, I'm going to clean my stamp off. And I have to tell you, I know it's not tool time because we talked about inks, but you want to know what my new favorite tool this week in my craft room is? Because we forget that we have all these things, and then you find it and you're like, oh, I need to use that again. And you use it and you're like, I love that. Why aren't I using it every day? Is my stamp chamois. My Gina K one that she gave us in our kits at the Nashville Craft Retreat 2 years ago. I am in love with my stamp chamois again. So if you aren't using yours, pull yours back out, because truly no fibers, even the microfiber towels I was finding were leaving little microfine, fibers on my stamps. So I'm back to using my stamp chamois, and I just love it. Now, I inked that up with my Versamark. I'm going to let it sit there a minute. Now I'm pulling out my crusty copper. Crusty copper. We used this 2 years ago at the Nashville Craft Retreat, and I still use it all the time. I love it. There is another video I have that you need to go watch it, and the link is in there when I change the titles. And I use this so much of the time for mixed media. So we're going to pull that out and use it. I have a piece of paper here that I was like just scribbling on, and I'm going to use that. I'm not going to get embossing ink everywhere, just here and there. Okay. Yes, she was, Kathy. We love Jean K. Okay, gently pull this up, and I think that looks pretty good. It's not everywhere, but it is a lot of places. Okay, so remember the embossing technique last week? We have an old paintbrush ready. We have a scrap piece of paper, and I'm going to use the crusty copper embossing ink. Okay, over the whole thing. Okay, blow some extra off. Oh, it's not here in the corner. Get rid of this. Okay, let's talk about everything else I needed to talk about that I almost forgot, because I just got off on all these tangents. There's a lot going on, a lot. So I don't know how many of you are registered for the Creative Worships virtual retreat, art retreat for this weekend, but I'm teaching at that. I think registration is closed, so I'm sorry. If you're not registered, it's too late. You cannot get in still. Blowing off any extra on here. So I'm teaching at that. I believe that my class, ooh, look at Ricardo. He's the Sue Crafter. He is on it. He's like, nobody's going to mess this up. So he's on it and monitoring comments. I'm teaching at that on Saturday. So if you are joining, I'm really excited. I am actually using a lot of these techniques, and it was the card I created for that inspired me to do this series of backgrounds to Bougie. So that's that card that I'm teaching for that retreat this weekend is where this whole series was inspired. So I'm teaching, I believe, on Saturday afternoon for that, and I'm excited. So let me know if you are joining in that retreat. And now you see what I've done. I've just gone through, just like we did kind of last week, and take your cheap paintbrush and you're brushing off some of the extra. You're just brushing off here and there. Can you see in the light how I've just taken some away here and there, because we don't want it to be perfect. And that's the cool thing about embossing powder. You can just remove it if it goes somewhere you don't want it. So I've just kind of gone here and there and erased it. But because we ink stamped it first, you're still going to get that visual effect, but it's not going to have like the visual kind of texture to it. It'll have the visual texture, but not the true texture everywhere. Okay, so now I need my embossing gun. And so that's what I'm doing on Saturday. And it's been so long ago that I created that card. I actually have to practice tomorrow and have that ready to go. So I teach Saturday afternoon for that. So there's that going on. We had the Catherine Pooler release this week. I posted today in the public Nashville Craft Retreat group, also on my personal pages. So if you're not a member of the Nashville Craft Retreat public page, you'll want to make sure you join that so that you see all of the good notifications there. but I have finally signed the contract and secured a location for our first official. Oh, let's see if you can see. Look, can you see this going? I love to watch the embossing powder go. Crop, the first official crop for the Nashville Craft Retreat, November 7th, 8th, and 9th. And thank goodness for, we have nice lodges and state parks here in Tennessee. And it is going to be at Henry Horton State Park. And it is a true crop where anybody can come. And you can, a crop, if you're not familiar with a crop, wait a minute and I'll be done in a second. Let me make sure I have all this done. Okay, so here we go. If you're not familiar with a crop is, see, Laura's got all the supplies for this. I know because you got some, you know, like the crusty copper and stuff at the retreat. See that? And that. Oh, wait, we're not done. Actually, I messed up and forgot. Before I did the embossing powder, I splattered ink, some more ink colors to have some splattering, but I also added, and we'll go ahead and do this because you know me, I love it and I love to splatter. I love my Picket Fence Studios opaque gold paper splatter. So let me get my splatter box. And we're going to do it over top of the wood grain. I really liked it underneath. I don't know if you can see. See, there's gold splatters under there. That was under the wood grain on this one. And you can see I splattered some dark ink too because it came out a little bit lighter. See the dark splatters with ink. So do that because I do like that and I just forgot, as if we didn't have enough going on, right? Okay, splatter box. Okay, I like to take a cheap watercolor brush and I get it wet. Okay, really wet it first. Ooh, see, there's a lot of pink in that. So we're going to clean that. I told you what happens with my watercolor brushes. Let's clean that and get some fresh water. And then we're going to splatter some gold. Let's hope we like it. So now dip your paintbrush in some water and then I shake this up and we're just going to do our gold splatters over top. It's okay. If you remember to do it before you embossed, I did like that effect and I would have added more splatters with the dark brown inks. So I set my little eyedropper aside and all I do is, let's move this over here since that's being a pain, stick this down in here and I tend to get a lot of ink on it. I tap the major splatters off because that's the biggest drops. And then I use a block and I tap, 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 tap. Now see, I got a big one on there, but that's okay. And then I go all around. And you can do as many or as little as you want. Okay. And I do love the paper spatter from Picket Fence Studios. And I'll add that to our supplies list. They are like, they're a water-based dye ink watercolor. And you can do a lot of things with them. So she has gold, she has black, she has colors. I have all the, you know, I'm big on the metallics and the black and the white. So I have all those. And then there's like an iridescent, I think white. Can't remember. So that's that. And let me clean off my brush now. So my gold splatters are on top of the embossing ink. I liked it underneath, and if I remembered next time or if I had written down my steps, I would have done that first. But you can do it however you want to do it, okay? Now I will tell you, this spatter takes just a little while to dry. And so I had to dry mine with the heat gun before I could move on. So you can see even the dimension because it's kind of raised. When it dries, it's much more flat, but I'm not going to take the time to do it now because I also don't want to reheat my embossing ink. And as you know, from some of the techniques I've done with you in the past, sometimes I'll even burn the embossing ink on purpose to give it that old crusty look. But I really like that you can, there's some of that metallic sheen on this one. So I didn't want to burn the whole thing. And I don't want to reheat it by drying those splatters. But there you go. And that is our wood grain technique. That is how I did that to achieve this one. Now, this one's a little bit lighter. This one came out darker. That's what happens when you're ink smushing and all that. You get what you get and you don't throw a fit. But now, there you go. You can see the difference. Okay. This would look like wood still too. It's just a darker wood, right? So cool. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, let me talk about the last thing. So, first ever Nashville Craft Retreat crop. If you've never been to a crop, it is so much fun because it's very relaxed. Primarily in the past, it was mainly scrapbookers, and that you take all your stuff and the scrapbookers work on their spreads and stuff. I'm not a scrapbooker. But that's the cool thing about a crop because any kind of artist can go. I went to one and there was a lady painting. She had her little easel and she stood there and she painted. So you can do anything you want. If you're a knitter, you can take your sewing machine, and sew. Most of my friends and I were mainly card makers. So we take all of our projects to work on and we work on stuff there. And it's very casual and, but yet you're crafting with friends and snacking and having fun and going out to eat and, just all the things we love without any stress. And so that's what a crop is. And this will be the first official. Now I do have croppers at the Nashville Craft Retreat, but, I can't have that many because we have limited space and, I don't get to interact with them a whole lot because they're upstairs and I'm downstairs and we're teaching and we have our workshops going on. So this is really fun because I'll get to interact with people a little bit more and it's so much more casual. So it will be at Henry Horton Lodge, November 7th, 8th, and 9th. And we will start at, check-in can be as early as 10 a.m. on Friday for the crop. And it will be 24-hour crafting. You can be in there crafting 24 hours a day. Some people are nuts and can do that. I need some sleep. But if you want to craft all night long, that's perfectly fine. I do have a block of 30 rooms in the lodge. If you get a lodge room, you get an expanded kind of continental breakfast. Not just the normal like pastries and juice kind of thing, but fruit and juice and waffles and I think some eggs. So a nice breakfast if you're staying at the lodge. If you want to rent a cabin, they do have some cabins available that have a fully stocked supplied kitchen that you can, cook in there and everything. And you don't get breakfast if you're staying in a cabin, but at the lodge, I have a block of rooms and the negotiated room price is $116, which is really good per night. Plus you get the breakfast and that's for a double queen. For $149, you can get a 6-foot table all to yourself with a chair, and we will run extension cords and you'll have at least one outlet at your table. And I do not have registration open yet. I will get that done in a few days because what I am doing going forward is you pay right when you register. And that way I'm not invoicing people and trying to track people down and then having people cancel who had registered who, aren't coming now. So you'll pay and that is your registration and that is your proof of registration. But there will be two options. And I really want my card makers to think about this. Yay, Ivy says she's coming. Stacy's coming. Kathy's coming. So I really would like to ask this. If you are a card maker, I only have so many 6-foot tables that I can use. And then I have 8-foot tables. And the 8-foot tables are going to be, if you are willing to take 4 feet, basically half of an 8-foot table, and you have a buddy that you want to sit with, I am going to divide an 8-foot table into two, and the cost is only $100 for the 3 days of crafting. And I know a lot of my card makers are used to only having 3 feet at the Nashville Craft Retreat, and they don't seem to need as much space as a scrapbooker. So, and yes, there's Lisa Sachs, she's coming too. So I would really, really, really encourage, when you go to register for the crop, and I'll let you know when I have the link up, there's going to be 2 options. Yes, I want a 6-foot table all to myself, and then, and that's $149, or I'm happy to have a 4-foot table, and I'm going to share with my buddy Lisa, because I can work in just 4 feet, and that's only $100. And I would really beg all of my card maker friends who are coming to take that option and let the scrapbookers have the 6-foot tables, if you're willing to do that. Because I can fit a lot more people in that way by having the 8-foot tables, and the more the merrier. And I really do want people to come and be comfortable and have the amount of space that they want, but that's a way we can have more people there and make it worth it to hopefully do this again and again. So that's what I'm asking. If you're a card maker, if you would really consider sharing an 8-foot table with a friend. And then the 6-foot tables leave to the scrapbookers who really want to go. Laura, I can tell you this. I have lived here for 4 years, and it's never snowed in November, I don't think. Or if it does in Tennessee, it's like this much, and it's a dusting, and it's gone like in November. Now watch, it'll make a fool out of me. I'm really hoping that the weather's very, very nice, because many times at the beginning of October it is. I think this year, someone correct me if I'm wrong, the beginning of November, it was so stinking hot. I was like, come on, when is this going to break? But the good news is, if you come to Tennessee in November at the very beginning, we might still have some really pretty leaves on the trees. And I hear it's a very pretty drive down there. It's about an hour south, maybe a little bit southeast of the Nashville airport. So about an hour from the airport, if you're familiar with it. Yes, Laura, Ohio weather is stupid, but I'm from Ohio. And I think that first weekend in November, most of the time you're pretty safe, right? So I personally, if I still lived in Ohio, I wouldn't worry about it. So those are the basics. I am not allowed to bring in any of my own snacks or food. So I will not be catering, but there is a restaurant that is totally new, and I hear is very nice, and you can bring your own snacks. I'm just not allowed to bring any because they have a catering service and I have to use their catering. I can give you candy, so you know you're gonna get some candy. So I'm allowed to do that, but I am not allowed to bring in like the normal really nice afternoon treats that I bring in at the Nashville Craft Retreat. And even all of the snacks that I keep out during the day, but I am allowed to give you some candy. But you are able to bring in your soda and your coffee and your water, anything that you bring in, you are perfectly allowed to do that. So, and I know croppers are really good at bringing snacks, and sometimes they share, which is really nice. I'm just not, as the host and organizer and the one paying for it, I'm not allowed to do that. So those are the basics. It is a signed contract, and that is Veterans Day weekend. So if you still work, and that means you have Monday off, and so you have a day to recuperate from the crop. So, and if you're still watching, I'm going to give away a little secret. This is not the secret. I will be teaching Yay Red Vines, because those are the best. I will be teaching, I'm planning on 4 workshop classes, but that will be for an additional cost, and you do not have to do it. Will sign up for them. Don't ask me what I'm doing yet because I don't know. And yuck to Twizzlers, like gross plastic. If you bring those, you keep those. That's just fine. I will be having workshop classes. And this isn't set in stone yet, but maybe I might be working on my own card kit that we would use. So, don't quote me on that, but there may be my own products in a card kit, like some of your favorite things in the world that we haven't done since the first Nashville Craft Retreat. Techniques. I'm kind of planning that for at least 1 or 2 workshops. So we'll see how it goes. But that's insider information that you're only hearing here right now. And we'll see how it goes. So 4 workshops I'm planning on teaching, and then taking the day off on Sunday to sit and enjoy everybody. So those are the basics with a little bit of sneakies in there. And it's so much fun. It's so much fun. So I would love for everybody to come. I'll let you know when the link is live. And remember, you can pay right then and there, and that gets you registered. And, you know, all kinds of good things. I hear the lodge is very clean. It may be a state park, but I hear it's very nice. Like where we are crafting, I have heard is really pretty because it's a newer building, and it's really, really nice. And it's like its own separate building. So like just right across from the lodge where the rooms are. So it should be really, like, I'm so excited. I can't stand it. So we've got that to do, but first we've got the Nashville Craft Retreat to do this summer. It is all sold out. The crop at the retreat is all sold out. I do have seats left for the Bible journaling workshop on Sunday with Corinne Sutherland is teaching with me, and she's a super sponsor for that. So I do have classes for that, and it is going to be a fantastic day, combining our worship and everything we love about paper crafting and crafting. We're going to watercolor, we're paper crafting, we're Bible journaling, and the kit is going to be phenomenal. The cost is $84. The kit alone is worth well over $50. I think I've added to it, and I haven't even refigured the retail value. So we have at least 4 projects planned for that day, and it's going to be really exciting. So I do have seats left for that. If you want to come for one day, you can't get into anything else. And don't forget, we're having shopping there. Vendors will be there, and the public can come shop. So you can come see what we're all about if you're not registered for anything else. Shoo! That was it. Oh, one more exciting piece of news, and this is it real quick. I'm joining a new design team. It is one of my favorite companies out there, and there's probably only one other design team that I would love to be on besides this one. And I'm really excited, and I can't tell you yet because I don't know when it will be announced, but I'm super excited. And it's for, I think this month is when I get the first release that we're doing. So I'm really, really excited. Stay tuned for that. One of my very favorite companies, someone who's a super sponsor for the Nashville Craft Retreat most every year. And I'm very honored that she has asked me to join her design team. So one of my 2 favorite ones. I've quit a lot of them, and but I would take on these 2, and this one I am very honored to be joining. So that's what's going on. I've yammered on long enough. Thank you so much for joining me, everybody. Don't forget to go back and watch the other videos in this series, and I will update the titles. I will fix the links. Don't forget to use my affiliate links. And I also have like thumbnails I need to get up for all of them. I need to take pictures of all of these. And we will actually make cards hopefully next week. Okay? So I will see you all later. Take care. Stay safe, Diana. And if you're in any tornadoes alley, get to a basement. Stay safe. Bye-bye, everybody. Take care, and thanks for watching. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. Okay? Bye-bye.